Welcome to Defeat Your Cravings, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston, PhD. Glenn has held his doctorate in psychology for more than 30 years and is also a former multi-million-dollar consultant to the big food industry and uses his experience to help you defeat your cravings. This show will help you to focus on dramatically reducing cravings and leave the diet mentality behind, so you can more easily and effortlessly achieve your health, fitness, and body composition goals. Please remember, no doctor-patient relationship is created via this show, and you are responsible for confirming any changes to your diet, health, or psychological routines with an appropriately licensed professional before implementing them. Now, before we get started, if you haven't yet downloaded the free smartphone app to access dozens of these recordings all in one place, as well as to avail yourself of a confidential community for support, motivation, and assistance, please visit the podcast link on defeatyourcravings.com as soon as possible. And now, here's your host, Dr. Glenn Livingston.
Hey, it's the very good Dr. Glenn Livingston with defeatyourcravings.com. I'm here with a kind-hearted gentleman named Chad who's agreed to share his experience and wisdom and hope and strength, as well as his trials and tribulations and stumbles and falls, so you can benefit from the conversation too. Right, Chad?
Yeah.
So tell me the story, Chad. Why did you come to us to start with, and what happened?
Okay, yeah. So my journey with food has been, like many people that find you eventually, has been a long one, many struggles. One of the first memories I have was in grade 12 in high school. I was playing football and I just started going for the cookies. And I played defensive line, so I could almost hear a coach encouraging me to put on weight. And I remember looking in the mirror after and being like, nice, I didn't gain any weight, no bigs. And same thing a couple weeks later. After that, I was always on some kind of diet. I'm 38 now and kind of always on some kind of diet, super strict, and lose some weight maybe and then gain more weight. And one pattern I kind of got into is like be perfect for like 6 days following these rules of some diet and then binge eat, lose control. That went on a long time.
You were dieting so that you could binge.
Not trying to, but
that's what it comes down to for so many people. They're dieting so they can binge. They get on that feast and famine cycle.
Right. I guess one of the biggest times or the most drastic times was my wife and I hiked the Pacific Crest Trail. So we were hiking for over 4 months from the border of Canada to the border of Mexico and eating as much as I could. And I still lost weight. I lost like 60 or 70 pounds. And then after that, just kind of getting back in life, I regained way more. I put on like 90 pounds in a year. I felt pretty hopeless at that point. And one of the big turning points, I guess, was finding a book, Annie Grace's book, This Naked Mind. That kind of taught me about the lower self and the higher self. And there was a metaphor about the pitcher plant where the pitcher plant smells so good and it like lures little bugs in and then they die in there, and kind of comparing that to like a craving or an addiction. Yeah, that one kind of landed for me. So then I ended up doing really well with it. I kind of saw that my goal was to live as the higher self. And I set up kind of a rule. This was before I ever found anything of yours. And I set a rule to like hit a calorie goal every day. But I said I'm going to get ice cream every single day. I stuck to that pretty great, actually, and lost like 90 pounds. Then I went traveling. So I kept the weight off for about 2 or 3 years. And I lived on a little island in Bali. This was just this last winter. There, it was pretty easy to stick to food, like the healthy food, not too much ice cream or anything. And I didn't have a freezer in my room, so I couldn't keep my ice cream. That's been my one slippery slope food, among others. But when I got back from Bali, I was back in my house with a freezer and food everywhere. And I was losing control again. And that's when I bought one of your older books and jumped into your coaching program. I didn't even finish reading it all.
And what happened?
In your program?
Yeah.
The way that I can think of it is it's almost like someone who speaks in a language fluently, but they might not necessarily be able to understand all the rules or all the systems they're following that are working.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what your program was like for me. Here's why what I did before worked.
I see.
Yeah, like the structures and the powerful why and the rules, like even the word rule. And the distinctions between the lower self and the higher self.
What was the benefit of knowing how it worked? Because it was working. What was the additional benefit of knowing how it worked?
There's a lot of additional benefits. I guess one would be, I thought that I had to keep eating ice cream. I thought that I needed ice cream every day to keep the weight off. I thought I would lose control if I was too strict. I wanted to say I prioritized my health, but there was a lot of things that I wasn't doing that weren't very healthy, like eating ice cream every day, and not like organic, pure ice cream. This was like no-name ice cream bars. That was one benefit. First of all, I decided to quit drinking alcohol. And so I haven't had any of that since I met you. I haven't surpassed my calorie goal significantly by more than maybe a couple hundred calories. So many things, like just learning from you, but also from your coaches and from the other people in there, like learning just how these cravings work so that I could actually prepare and defeat them.
It sounds like the immersion and the ability to cement your fluency got you to take it to another level. I think that's what you mean by you realize you don't need ice cream. There's not a nutritional need in the diet for ice cream. You can get everything else that you need through other means. My takeaway from that, you tell me if I'm wrong, was that you decided, okay, now I'm a fluent cravings master and I can beat that craving. I can live without ice cream. It's going to be okay.
Yes, exactly. And no matter what the lower self or what you call the pig is saying, I find every time I set a new rule, because I'm still setting new ones, I do kind of feel weird. Like I feel a little off, a little agitated. And quite often it's the squeals, like you call them.
Well, it's the squeal, but it's also the fact that these are biological survival drives. I mean, I always use the example of a chocolate bar, but your body really thinks that chocolate is keeping you alive. Your brain really thinks that. That's why these cravings are so strong. That's why these habit loops are so automatic and so strong, is because it really did keep us alive 100,000 years ago. It's just not prepared to deal with the intensity of the quote unquote foods that are in the system today. And so when you pry it apart, when you pry the biological drive apart from the error that it's made, it's got an erroneous target. It doesn't give up easy. That would be like giving up on your life 100,000 years ago. So it feels like you're going to die. You're describing it as a mild irritation, as a mild agitation, but it's supposed to feel like that. It's supposed to feel like, oh my God, I'm going to die without the chocolate. And you intellectually know that you won't, and you intellectually know that you're going to be okay. But you also know, and this is part of why we can be successful, you also know what you're going to go through. You know that your brain is going to think that it needs the chocolate to survive. And for a month or two, depending on how frequently you were eating it, you're going to have a certain progression of cravings. And there are a lot of things you can do about it to make them easier and get yourself through, but they're going to be there. You're going to have that agitation. So you're right to frame it as a mild agitation, because that's the right way to think about it, rather than thinking, oh my God, I'm really going to die. But it's a big deal, Chad. It's a big deal what you put yourself through to break these habits. So I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Like you're saying, there has been times where, I remember I have one memory of, it was like I became someone else. I just instantly went back to my old patterns, and I literally had to fight it. I had to stand up straight and be like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Like you say, truly some kind of survival mechanism that was very powerful.
Well, and physical exercise helps. If you're allowed to do that, you got to ask your doctor, but physical exercise, it really does help, because what you're really telling your brain is there are other things I have to do to survive. So you're using one survival drive against the next. Drinking water can help. I've got this other resource here that's going to help me survive. I'm really not going to die. We die very quickly without water. It takes, I think, 30 to 60 days to starve to death, but we die very quickly without water. So you can kind of fool the brain into letting go and paying attention to other things. So yeah. Then what happened? So you became more immersed and a little more fluent with things, or a lot more fluent with things. How is your life different now that you've kind of worked with the coaches and come to the calls and done the exercises?
Well, refutations have become a part of my life. Even though I haven't set a rule around it, I just want to keep growing and learning. And I loved week 10 in your program that talked about applying this method to not just food, but, other areas like procrastination. I just feel more hopeful overall, more confident, because it's this is a system that works and it can be applied to many areas. And It's kind of like a shield, I guess, against the feelings of powerlessness that I've struggled with before. Because anytime I've started something, by definition, there's a whole lot of failures, more failures than wins, and almost feels like fighting an enemy that's got a way better track record than you. But I just feel like with this system, it kind of stacks the odds in your favor so that you can defeat that enemy.
Because we're wired to win. Because our upper brain is either later evolved or placed there by God to control the lower brain. And the wiring is such that we can inhibit the irrational brain, the survival impulses, when we see a higher and better need. And this system recognizes that, gives you very specific tools to wake up when you're relinquishing your higher brain, and tells you very specifically what to do to get back into your rational brain and go forward. And the result is a sense of mastery and confidence that translates to other areas of your life also. When you recognize that you're not just a machine, you're not just this set of automatic behavior loops, that you can actually make decisions about what behaviors you want to build and which ones you want to attenuate, then you start to feel like the sky is the limit, like there's nothing else you can't accomplish. And I know with you, I have to slow you down sometimes. You get so excited about all these things. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you did, because I remember even in I think it was week 2 or 3, I was eager, and you did have to slow me down there, and you've had to continue to do so. So thank you for that.
Good. Do you want to share any key refutations? People sometimes like hearing specifically what a refutation is for the audience. Is it's a disproving of your lower brain's logic. If your lower brain says you can just start tomorrow, it'll be just as easy. You tell it that it's not going to be just as easy, because the way the brain works, you're going to be reinforcing that thought. So you'll be more likely to start tomorrow, and you're going to be reinforcing the craving, making it worse. So the only time you can eat healthy is the present. Would you like to share any of those in particular that were helpful to you, that might be helpful to others?
Well, this is one that I'm working on right now. It's pretty long. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so I quit drinking the alcohol, but I still have been having de-alcoholized beer at home. So my new rule is I will never again drink de-alcoholized beer by myself at home. And so why does the pig think you should break your rules? If it's cool with you, I'll just share the squeal and then the refutation.
Sure.
Okay. So the first one is those de-alcoholized beer are so delicious. That crisp, bubbly feeling is irreplaceable. You love this habit. And so my refutation, it seems that way now, but when I first quit drinking beer, I remember thinking this actually doesn't taste good at all. No one likes beer when they first drink it. I would have not gotten into the habit of drinking those beer as a kid. That's for sure. All kids find it disgusting. Then older people laugh and reassure them that they'll acquire the taste for it. Now I'm wondering if they actually are that delicious. That crisp, bubbly feeling is unique, but I'm pretty sure I could live without it and still live my life and enjoy it just as much. It is a habit, but it may also be an addiction. I feel the craving and urge to have them when I'm hungry and at night for kicks. It's always that effort feeling, a step back and just, like happy hour. I can declare happy hour without a beer. I can have a tea, a water, step outside and take a few seconds to look around. I can even say, F yeah, this is good, as the reward. I could love that habit of just taking a moment without having the beer, and it wouldn't have that slightly annoying feeling that comes with seeing the cans build up in my closet, because I hate going to Sarcan. So the next one, it's so much better than drinking alcohol. The cold, bubbly sensation, it makes you feel alive and rebel-like. So my refutation, do you have proof of that? It may still be an addiction controlling me. According to a study cited by Very Well Mind, of the zero alcohol beers sampled, 6 were found to have alcohol levels higher than 1%. Pregnant people are told not to drink even de-alcoholized beer, as there is no safe amount of alcohol. And this is all just for me. I'm not saying this is proof, but I put all alcohol as a toxic, highly addictive substance. There's no need to have even a little bit of poison. Absolutely no need. This may still be that 1% of alcohol wanting to control me. And even 1% of alcohol is still toxic, poisonous, and addictive. That could well lead to drinking more and stronger alcohol over time. Is it worth it?
I love it.
Yeah, and I could keep going. It's a big one.
You can keep going if you want to. People will like that. Go ahead.
I guess it covers the cost of your program. I'll jump to that one. This is the squeal. It's not hurting anyone. It's your one thing. Please don't take it away. Having imperfections is what makes you you. Quirky is fun. Don't aim to be so perfect you love drinking those beer. So I said, it's certainly not helping the planet, my conscience, or my feelings of who I am by piling up all those cans. My wife is the one that takes them back usually, and I don't like that. I don't like the fact that she's doing that. Also, all amounts of alcohol are dangerous, toxic, and addictive. Would you feel tempted to drink a little bit of drain cleaner, just a small amount? 2 to 8 cans of 0.5 to 1% drain cleaner in each. The rest is full of bubbly wheat flavor. No thanks. It doesn't have to be my one thing. I have lots of other things I can do, as mentioned before, and I'll keep doing. I'm taking it away. I will still have plenty of imperfections and quirks, not to worry there. I make me. I'm fun. It's not that I'm aiming to be perfect, but I'd like to be a bit better and more free from these weird addictive tendencies. I did the math, and I'd rather invest that on more valuable things that compound in value. I'm confident I'd love myself and my life even more. Those de-alcoholized beer don't need to be a part of my life anymore, especially having them every day by myself at home. There were times I was having more like 4 to 6 a night. And then why might I be happier or feel like a better person if I denied the pig's desires and defeated my cravings this time? This one's a little jargony, but I kind of just turned this into my hook. I'd be free of this last weird compulsive habit. Drinking multiple of these beers that's really not serving me, with that closet full of cans to hide from others, and a strange habit that serves me no purpose. It really costs me time, confidence, money, energy, and joy. It's certainly not helping the planet, my conscience, or my feelings of who I am. And I can declare happy hour without a beer.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Okay.
We have just another minute or two. And I was wondering if you could describe what the feelings are like when you capture the squeal, which is the excuse that your lower brain uses to justify indulging and breaking the rule. When you capture it and then when it's thoroughly refuted, could you describe the change in your mental state that occurs?
Yeah. So when I first capture it, I've captured a few today for future rules I want to set. It's like a feeling of excitement. It's like, nice. I see what it's been using against me and I get excited. And then when I do a refutation, you provide that sort of scale where 5 is, wow, I can't believe I fell for this squeal until now. I aim for a 5. And if it's not a 5 like you teach, I build up the reasons, and sometimes I have to do a little research, but then it feels freeing, feels very good. I like to review that full refutation a few times just to make sure.
And then how do you hold on to it?
Well, probably written like 200 pages since we've started this, but how do I hold on to it? I do take the hooks, like you said, just a short little section, and at the bottom of my big Google Doc, I put all of my hooks, like all my short and little.
Could you give me one example of a hook?
I'd be free of this last weird compulsive habit that really is not serving me. I've got a closet full of cans to hide from others, and a strange habit that serves me no purpose, purely costs me time, confidence, money, energy, and joy. Really doesn't add anything to my life, and thus it's gone.
Beautiful. Chad, is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't ask, or something you wanted to say you didn't get a chance to say?
I don't think so, other than I'm just very appreciative to you. And I guess I hope that you keep making programs. You've talked about some other ones potentially in the future, and I would just love to jump into those too.
I'm glad to hear that. I really hope you'll be able to do that. Okay, be well.
Yes, you too. Thank you.
Bye, Chad.
See you, Glenn.
And that brings us to the end of today's broadcast of Defeat Your Cravings, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston. Now, if you'd like to find out more about the products and services Dr. Glenn offers to help you dramatically reduce your cravings and stop overeating in 90 days or less, please visit defeatyourcravingscoaching.com. That's defeatyourcravingscoaching.com. Thanks.